Now, meanwhile, this past weekend, holiday travelers flocked to airports all across the country amid a cloud of fear over the new TSA screeners and pat-down procedures. A grassroots movement, which began on the internet, called for passengers to refuse full-body scanners the day before Thanksgiving. It was dubbed National Opt-Out Day, and while it could have caused major headaches at some airports, the TSA is reporting that few people actually chose to opt out. Nevertheless, protesters popped up at airports all across the country. One woman arrived at LAX, as you can see there, in a bathing suit. She told reporters she hoped to avoid a pat-down or a body scan. Although people had different styles of protesting, their message, well, that was the same.
The new TSA policies are in violation of the Fourth Amendment, which guarantees us protection against unreasonable searches.
TSA is using invasive and intrusive methods, and there are better ways to do airport security.
And joining me now with reaction to the TSA screening procedures are attorney Tamara Holder and Bob Massi. Both are Fox News contributors. Bob, first of all, it seems based on reports that they kind of backed off this a little bit, that they didn't use a lot of the pat-down procedures. They didn't use the full-body scanners as much as we thought. My take on that is they want to acclimate people to this and sort of get them used to it before they get a full-blown protest.
I think you're right, and I think the mistake they made, we all want to be safe in the air, but preemptively, Sean, at least my take, is they didn't prepare the American people properly. There was a way to go about this. It's like one day we woke up, and all of a sudden we had the scanners, and we had the pat-down, and everybody's saying, wait a second. And again, you get to that mentality of too much government intervention, too much personal rights being affected, and that's why I think we had that reaction. They could have handled it better, and I think they'd better handle it better in the future.
You know, Tamara, my big point is, you know, they're doing all of this supposedly in the name of safety. Nuns and little old ladies and children's being stripped down, but we don't control our borders. So they're not doing everything they can do in terms of safety for the American people there. They give Miranda rights to enemy combatants on the battlefield. They give civilian trials to terrorists. And now they're going to lecture, now they're going to take away the rights of the American people without doing the most simple and basic of procedures, which is profiling.
Okay, well, Sean, you're mixing apples and oranges.
No,
are we going to have a debate about, are we going to have a debate about border security and Guantanamo Bay, or are we going to talk about the issues at security checkpoints? Look, the goal here of the United States government is that another 9/11 does not occur. It has not occurred. I'm not necessarily a fan of being felt up by some random TSA official, but at the end of the day, I don't really care if it's going to prevent a terrorist from walking on a plane.
Okay, so if it means,
and they're doing numerous
what's
things.
next? A full body cavity search? You're missing. Look, you're missing my point. Let me tell you how they're connected. If they really don't, if they don't want another 9/11 to happen, then maybe they should stop people crossing the border at will, including enemies of the United States. If they don't want another terrorist attack, maybe they shouldn't take, terrorists, give them civilian trials when we should have military tribunals where they'll be convicted. And rules of evidence are different and will apply.
Because Jose Padilla was from Chicago and was recruited out of prison in the Illinois Department of Corrections.
What is, you're not answering the question.
Jihad Jane was an American. So looking at just people who are, illegally coming here through the borders is just one issue. We are looking at that. And by the way, Mr. Massey said that the American people were dumped with this body scanner thing when Kip Hawley was talking about it back in 2007. Documents and testimony over and over again of body scanners for the past 4 years.
All right, Bob?
I think one of the things that concern me is the fact that what was the epiphany that all of a sudden happened, that after how many years from 9/11 that all of a sudden they decided to start doing this? What triggered it? Was it the one incident, 2 incidents that we saw in the last year? That's my first concern. The other thing is this. What kind of training? I called TSA today here at the McCarran Airport, and I asked to speak to somebody. I actually spoke with a TSA representative, and I said, could you give me an idea of what kind of training you have had? Have there been training classes, videos? And I mean no disrespect to TSA because they have a tough job. And what they said was, call our PR department. I called the PR department at an 801 area code. I left a message. I never got a call back. And I said to them, listen, I'm not trying to pick on you. I need to know, is there parity in the training here? How do we know we're going to get treated the same at McCarran as we are at another airport in this country? And as a
let me ask Tamara this. Tamara, do you really think we ought to give the same attention to a 19-year-old Yemeni exchange student as a 90-year-old grandmother who's lived in the same house for 50 years, that goes through a wheelchair through our airports? Wouldn't we be better off using intelligence and profiling and our abilities to know everything that we know, that we can know about every passenger before they even show up at the airport? What seems like the best use of our limited resources?
Well, you're bringing up two total extremes. Is it appropriate to pat down an old 80-year-old lady? No. Is it appropriate to, look at a Somalian coming over from the border who's been back and forth? Yes. But there are all of the people in between as well. I was looking at the prison issue.
So you're comfortable.
30,000 people.
You are comfortable getting patted down in your private areas.
If it's going to, well, it depends. I agree with Bob about what are the procedures, what are the training. I saw something about a 6-hour video. That's not sufficient for somebody to pat me down, but it requires more than, it requires more knowledge than just the limited amount that we have.
All right, guys, thank you very much for being with us. By the way, we just got
Sean, thank you.